Okay, can you see us now?
Yes, I can see everybody now.
Can see everybody now. Okay.
Perfect. Hi everyone. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, we this is a Zoom because Ted lives in New Jersey. So he was not able to. And I do live in Ohio, but I think it's about 2 hour drive for me. And I was out late last night traveling back from Minnesota. So I was like, oh my gosh. And then I had sessions in between. So I was like, oh, I won't be able to make it live. But hopefully one year, me and Ted will be out live to this event because it's such a great event. We were here last year and we had a lot of fun. So my name is Stephanie. I am in Pickerington, Ohio, so that's where I'm located. And I was an intervention specialist. Then I was an instructional coach, and now I'm a teaching and learning coordinator at Camy. Also, when it comes to organization, I am that neat freak where usually I know where everything is. But since I've had children, I've like lost a little bit of that because I'm just like, I'm too exhausted to pick up the toys, or I'm just too exhausted to do this. And so we were talking because usually we wear a disguise while we're doing this session, and I couldn't find my disguises anywhere. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're doing a session about organization, and I'm not even organized. What about you, Ted?
Absolutely. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Ted Samaras. I am from Central New Jersey. For those of you who are familiar with New Jersey or know anybody out here, most people refer to North and South New Jersey, but there is a Central New Jersey. I know because I pay a lot of taxes to live here. And to give you an idea, I'm about maybe 40 minutes from Rutgers University, who was tied with Ohio State for the Big Ten lead in football a couple of weeks ago, but is now on a two-game losing streak like usual. Um, but
No.
yeah, for me, organization is a huge thing too. It's actually a way of survival. So Stephanie and I know each other, started to know each other through the Google community, and it's branched out from there. But in my primary work, I'm an instructional technology coach. And one of the things that I need to focus on for our department, I'm heavy into the spreadsheet work, the data work. Um, trying to be as efficient as possible. Um, is important for what we do because otherwise we would be here 24 hours a day. So we hope that today we have a little bit of fun. We want to just introduce some things to you just as thought starters. If there's any kind of deeper dive that you would like to do with any of the things we talk about here today, I'll be happy to do that. I know Stephanie will be as well. One other quick note as a part of an intro, I know there's a lot going on in outer space. I am also a NASA Solar System ambassador. So if you would like to contact me about any of the stuff like the Europa Clipper launch that just happened or anything like that, feel free to reach out as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so just of a show of hands, now that we guys can see you all. Are you organized? So if you're like Monica, from Friends, like you're that organized type of person, like where you're vacuuming the vacuum. How many of you are like that? Like you're super organized. Everyone's looking at.
No.
No. Okay, how many of you have a
Okay.
junk drawer? Like you're organized, but then there's like a junk drawer that nobody can see. It's like until you open it. Yeah, that's me.
Multiple. Does multiple
Oh,
count?
okay, how many of you are like clothes on the floor, toys everywhere, hot mess? Okay, okay. Awesome. And so love it, love it. So, and thank you for being honest. Sometimes that's hard to admit, like, oh, I'm a hot mess. But when it comes to organization, what I've noticed is when working with other educators, students, especially, we were working with a student on organization and they had to clean out their book bag. And this kid pulled out this sandwich, and who knows how long it's been in there. But it smelled, it had mold on it, and I was like, this is disgusting. Like, you've got to clean out your stuff, right? And so when we're more organized, we actually save a lot of time. So hopefully you're able to learn some time saving tips as well throughout today's session. And so we're going to talk about how do we increase productivity? How do we time manage our time better? How do we make better decisions? And then how do we enhance our goals with those achievements? So those are kind of the four different categories we're going to talk about. We will share the slides at the very end. There's a bit.ly so that we will share all of the resources. There's a lot of hyperlinks. We're also overshares. So there are a couple topics that we won't go over, but they will be hyperlinked for you. If you're like, I'm really curious about that, just let us know. We're happy to explain any of the things that are on the slides as well. Okay. So when it comes to increased productivity, what tips or tricks do you have for us, Ted?
Well, the one I wanted to just focus on today, and it's a quick one just to get us going, is voice typing. I just want to make sure that people are aware that voice typing is available to you in Google Docs. A lot of times, in terms of productivity, it's really cool to have because, like, you're always multitasking, right? Even if you are somebody who doesn't think you multitask, you're multitasking. And so what you can do is there's actually a spot where you can, if you're like in a regular dock, if you go up and into the tools, there's actually a spot there that you can click for voice typing, right? So if you go down a little bit by translate document, and then if you open that up, a little microphone pops up. And when you click on it, right? When it turns red, you can actually start to talk and it picks up your voice. This is nice as well. So you can actually see that I'm talking in New Jersey and Stephanie has this document open. This isn't my document, but it's picking up through the microphone. This is cool for like, if students want to take notes, obviously with your permission, they can do it that way. If you want to take notes during a professional development like this and pick up the speaker's voice, you can do that as well with their permission. And what is also nice is that it can actually pick up different languages as good as Google Translate can pick them up. So if you like in our school, we have a lot of multi-language learners, and so we can provide resources for our Spanish learners, but we have people who have come here from the Ukraine, people who speak French because they're here from Haiti, and we don't have the resources necessarily to maybe help out all of those multi-language learners. And so this is a nice way of using voice typing too.
Can you
It's
demonstrate
also,
that, Ted?
huh?
I said, can you demonstrate that for us?
Yeah, so like if you see here, there's a couple of things. One, when you're with the microphone there, right? If you just click off the microphone a second, you can see up top it says English US,
Mhm.
and then it will start to pick up from there. So it'll start to like put in more accents or that type of thing, depending on if you're actually speaking the language. But what's also nice is that like if you have a student doing this, for the student who like may struggle to write, struggle with spelling, that type of thing, it's great because you can just have them tell the story and then go back and edit. And if it's a translation thing, you have the document in front of you, so you can actually just translate this document. If you go back up to tools, there's actually a spot that says translate document right above your voice typing, and then you can translate the document into a different language so that this way you can do that. And I don't speak Croatian, but here's an example of that. So like I said, this is really great. It's also great if like you're fixing dinner on the fly and you get a great idea for a lesson. You can just pop up your voice typing and be talking into it while you're cooking too. So I've used it a lot of different ways. I know students have done it when a student has broken their arm and they've used voice typing. So there's a lot of different ways to use it, but just something to try out. And it's something that's just a pretty quick one just to get us going.
Awesome. And I love that you provided those directions too. And I wonder as well, like the one way that I use voice typing is I'll type out my ideas and then sometimes I'll take it to ChatGPT or some type of Gemini, some type of AI program and kind of say, okay, summarize what I just said or make it a little bit more cleaner. But I talk a lot faster than I type. And so that can just be really helpful if you're trying to find a time saving tip as well.
Awesome. And those directions were typed, well, were voice typed, just so you know.
Wow.
I just want to make sure I'm modeling, best practices for
Yeah,
everybody who's here.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Okay, another way that you can get organized is through using Google Sheets. And so right here is a longer video if you're interested or need more support. But what you're able to do is you can organize your life with a hub. And so what a hub is it's all those documents in our like drawer kind of organized. So if you like go to my Google Drive, you're gonna be like, oh, Stephanie, you're really organized. Like I am kind of organized. I've got folders, they're color coded. However, when you click into that folder, it starts to get messy. And once you click into this folder, right, there's more folders and there's more folders and it just gets really messy when I keep clicking in. And so here is two examples of a hub. This is Miss Boland's zone. She was a fifth grade science and social studies teacher. And then there's the number system here. And so basically, it's a hyperlink with all of your resources. This teacher, she made it kind of like her bookmarks for websites, her student information, all four of her different Google Classrooms that she had. There was also multiple hubs because everybody started to use this concept, this idea. And so when it came to multiple hubs, they were able to click and view the Harmon Hub, which was their school, or maybe it was the Tech Hub. And so it was just an easier way for her to find it than searching in her Google Drive or finding it off the bookmarks bar. This teacher organized it by standard. So you can see here that it has compare and order decimals. And then she has all of the key standards. Down below, she's got videos, worksheets, task cards, all of them hyperlinked, wiser activities. And so when she teaches this concept, it's right there. It's a lot of work up front. However, because she's already organized her math lessons in this way, in this capacity, it makes it less work the following year. So she did this 2 years ago. Now she's able to just go to her hub, everything's there, and she can just click the activities that she needs for that lesson, and she's off and running. So again, it does take a little bit of work up front, but there basically is three designs. Design one is more if you're like, I'm not techie. It's just a Google sheet. And these are like typed in. So if you click right here where it says hub size, it will ask you to make a copy of it. You'll make a copy and then you can either make one for your classroom, your school. I've seen a lot of principals utilize the hubs as well. This one is more kind of detailed because these little icons are coming over from Canva. So right here in Canva, uh-oh, something went wrong. I'll have to fix that. Something in Canva, they are templates and you're able to customize these little templates up here. So again, you can see how it's kind of organized. You might need like a to-do list like me. Like I like having a to-do list and then I can check things off as I complete them. So that might be really helpful. But yeah, when you make a copy of this, you're able to customize it as you need to. And then you can come in and update your hub with all of your lovely information. And I can say like, oh, I really want these to be, um, different colors or white. And I can make those white and then I can hyperlink down below all of the resources that you might need for your hub. So it's kind of, again, up to you how you want it to look, the colors you want it to use. Teachers then just bookmark the hub rather than having all of these bookmarks. And then they're like, where is the resource at that I need? Like it keeps them from losing things and then everything that they could possibly need go right into the hub. So that way they can find it, reuse it. And then next year they're able to just see what they've already sent out or what resources they use. So again, that just uses Google Sheets. There's a video that goes over more details if you're interested in creating one. It is a lot of work up front, but once you create it, it makes your whole school year go a lot smoother. Okay.
Oh, that's real cool. Hey, Steph, now I have a quick question for you. When you were using that hub, right, did you find that, like as you were adding things in, did you find that it was better to take time to kind of reflect on what you wanted to put in first before you sat down at the computer, or did you just, sit at the computer and know everything is going in all these places?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I am a paper pencil type of note taker. So I would sit here, brain dump, what's the struggles that I'm having? What do I need that I constantly am opening? And so I made like, general. And then there was maybe like a lessons plan. I might need in my Google calendars or team folders or whatever it was. I was able to list all of those out. We actually made an instructional hub as well with just like instructional templates and resources that were organized like by vocab strategies or um, different topics. So again, it was really cool to see how the teachers went about it. But you'll see here are the steps. So like here's the checklist. You want to think of topics and info, colors, of course. You got to make it pretty. The theme, fonts, your headers, and then hyperlinks. And then you have to decide, how are you sharing this? Is it just for you? Or are you going to be sharing it with others to use? I've seen teachers create like a second grade hub, third grade hub. Yeah. Any
Hmm.
questions about increasing productivity?
Do you have any tips on organizing email? I feel like emails a day.
Yep, email. Ted, you have
Uh,
any tips
yeah,
right away?
yeah, I mean, yeah, in terms of email, a lot of times I do like to kind of use the tags in Gmail, so that this way, they start to sort on the left and I can kind of click on it. Once you start getting used to that, or you start getting used to setting rules, you can do that. I prefer the tags better, for me, because I like to see my whole inbox, and then can kind of sort where I want to. Sometimes with the rules, what happens is that if you're not careful and you bypass your inbox, you may not realize that something that popped in there. So that would be what I would probably do. So like on the left there, like you can do something like that. Also, the other thing is, with the labels there. The other thing is too, something that people really don't use, but is in Gmail, is right up at the top of the mail where it says search mail, right? I know it's such a simple box, but people just, they use that for like when they're looking for like somebody, like, oh, this person sent it to me, let me look for it, right? That's how most people use that box, and they think that's the only thing you can do. But if you click on the filter next to the X there, yep, for the menus and stuff, there's a whole bunch of other things you can start to search by, um, as well as look for things. So like this is great as an example where people have they're looking for like those two unread messages in the 30,000 messages that they have, and they just can't find them. So you can do things like looking for unread messages, or looking for ones out of sent, or that type of thing. So you can do that. The last thing I would also just say about Gmail is, when in doubt, whether it's sent, whether it's a draft, whether whatever it is, if you click on more on the left, you will see something there that says all mail. So like, how it extends out, you'll see something that says all mail. That literally is all the mail. So if you sent it, it's in there. If you received it, it's in there. If it's in draft, it's in there. If you don't know what it was, but it's there, it's in there. So if you're ever looking for something and it's driving you crazy that's not in your inbox, that would be a nice way to kind of find it as well. We find people discovering things in their Gmail all the time by going to all mail. So
I also use the stars. And so I love to use the stars in Gmail because it allows me to like uh kind of archive. So I will archive the email, and that way it's out of my inbox because I'm an inbox zero person. And so once I delete it, it goes into either a folder, the labels down here, and then I star it. And once I don't need it anymore, I just unstar it. And you can actually change the colors of these stars just by clicking it to the color that you want. Another great tip is to snooze it. So if a principal sends me a email and they're like, Stephanie, this isn't for the meeting until Wednesday and it's Monday, I'll just snooze that email to Wednesday when the meeting is, and then it will pop up right in my inbox as soon as I need that email. And then I'm able to use that email, and then I just archive it as soon as that meeting ends, or I'll put it in one of these labels.
very
Okay,
cool.
I
And
get a way.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I get a bunch of junk, right? Like we as teachers subscribe to a bunch of stuff, and then like 2 years later, I don't really need that anymore, but they're still sending me all this stuff. Can I delete all the correspondence from that person at once? Do you have to find every one of them?
That's a good question.
If you have the like if it's from the same web address, right? Like if you do them in the search box, you see where Stephanie just clicked that checkbox at the top left there, and that selects everything, and then you can actually delete them all at once. The other thing you should consider doing is that on a lot of those emails, if you go into one of them, if you scroll to the very, very bottom in the smallest font possible, there's usually an unsubscribe button. So if you click on that, that will take you off their mailing list. also. So that might be something you want to consider, depending, if you guys aren't using the product anymore.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That was a great question.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah. There's so much we could talk for hours about.
We can talk for hours about
Organization. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll stay here all day.
Just need time to organize too. Like if you're like me, I'm like, I just need time. And so if you can, maybe once a week for 10 minutes, delete, archive, get rid of emails that you don't need. But really cleaning it out can make you just feel a little bit better, I think.
Right. And a lot of this too is like, again, we're talking about ideas, and one thing I'm going to show you now, it's more of a basic idea, but it reflects the same idea that Stephanie was just talking about with the hub, but it's a lot less colorful. But again, it gets you thinking about, okay, what do I really need? What do I really not need? I have time to do certain things to organize, but I don't have time. In the summer is when I'm going to look for the cute icons and make this really pretty like Stephanie's. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to show you one because this is a disguise one, right? So the Olympic beret and the headquarters zip is the best I can do on a Friday. But if you go into the one that says organize in style, right? This is as close to style as I can get you today. There's different ways that you can actually organize like within a Google Doc, because I will show you something with Google Sheets a little bit later on, but a lot of times we're just taking notes in docs, or we're writing our lesson plans in docs. So as Stephanie opens up a new document here, because she's really good about staying organized with the clean documents, right? Along the menu items there, right? We clicked up there before, okay, to find tools and stuff. But like if you go like right underneath where tools are, if you go like, if you get rid of that menu, and if you just want to get rid of that menu a second, there is a spot where it says normal text right next to where the 200 is. Okay. People always see normal text and they're like, okay, that's cool. You're telling me I'm typing in normal text, right? And they don't think anything else of it. And they go over to the right and they look at the font. But actually what this does is this is like a layering system, so that this way it actually can start to build an outline. So if you want to title your paper as an example, right, you could do that by clicking title like Stephanie did. And you can see, because it's in that title type format where she typed hello on the document, if you look over to the left, there's an outline there and it actually says hello, because that's where the title is. If Stephanie was to like come down now and go back up to, right, she's typing her things there, nothing's showing up on the outline. But then if like she was able to like, return down a couple of tabs or something like that, she can go up to heading 1, and heading 1 would then, if she types something there, it could actually start showing up on your outline as well, as you can see. And so what happens is that you can actually start to build out, like if you're taking notes, or if like every Friday you guys have a team meeting, right? Maybe you make your date like heading 1, right? So your title is, 24, 25 team meetings. And then heading 1 is your, the date. So like, today's October 18th, next week is October 25. And then what you can do is you can go down to like, there's heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, etc. So if you were to go under the date, and you were to like start typing in like what the main topic of the meeting is, like we're going over data. Does anybody here go over data, by the way? Oh, come on. I should see every hand up, or at least everybody laughing, one or the other, right? Okay. So if you okay. So if you went there and you highlighted data, right? And you were to make that a heading 2, okay, you see how it goes right under on the outline. It goes right underneath the date, but it's indented a little bit. So it kind of builds out a tree. People like to do this sometimes with table of contents as well, like up front, but this is a nice way of kind of keeping organized, so that this way, your dates are heading 1, your main topics are heading 2, and then you can eventually do normal text, right? You don't want to format this to the point where, it's all sprinkles and no ice cream, right? Sprinkles, Jimmy's, whatever you guys call it in Ohio, but I think it's sprinkles in Ohio. But you don't want to make it all like that. You actually want to have some of the meat too. So anyway, so that's a nice way of doing it. It's not as colorful, let's say, as the hub that Steph was showing you, but it's a quick way to kind of get organized with that. And also
Get
it's
organized
something
with
that
that, and also it's something that
it translates
um
out to
it
your
trans
students too. Because you can help them with their note taking, or if they're building essays, or for whatever subject you're using.
And then my next one is monotasking. So Ted was like, everybody multitask, right? And we do have a really bad habit. And what's really interesting is when we do multitask, we actually lose 21 minutes of time. So when I am checking emails and then I'm like, oh, I need to go check this thing on social media, or I need to go text Ted, or I need to do this, I'm actually losing about 21 minutes from task switching when I am multitasking. And so this concept of monotasking is really focusing in on one task at a time. And so it really, again, just kind of focuses on creating space for you to complete these tasks. And then you want to slow down on that task switching, which takes up a lot of energy. And so we kind of have a strategy where you kind of will have like maybe a piece of paper, or maybe you use technology and you just do a brain dump. So you'll notice like here is my nice little agenda, and I just come in and down here I brain dump everything I need to do. So here's my to-do list for today. And then you're able to color code if you want to, like, oh, I need to do this first, this second, or if you're like me, I love to just check it off the list. And so some ways that I've seen people do this is on paper, maybe Google Keep, maybe they create tasks in their Google Calendar. And there's a ton of other different ideas that I've seen people use. And so then you'll set a timer, and these timers you can find on um, Amazon. They're not too expensive. And if you notice, there are different times on my timer. And so I can come in and I can say, okay, I am just checking email for 10 minutes. I set my 10-minute timer and it starts to count down. Once that timer's up, I am allowed to go to another task. So again, it is hard because I am a huge like multitasker, but again, you're wasting a lot of time because you want to get into that flow. So you'll set that timer, and then once it's ready, I might say, okay, I get a 5-minute break. Okay, now I'm ready to lesson plan. So then I might set my 30-minute timer and it starts, and then I can begin. On Amazon, these timers, they've got these ones that are like 5, 10. So these are really great in the classroom if you're working with students. Like, okay, we just need, you got 5 minutes to do this bell ringer. I can start the timer, it begins. Um, when I don't use timers, I'm really bad with wait time. So I'm always like, oh, I need to set a timer for 3 minutes, because if I don't, then I only give people like a minute to think. And that's just not enough time in reality. So again, huge fan of these timers. They are on Amazon. I can put them in the resources if I haven't yet. But again, they're really cool. I like them a lot, but focusing, getting into that flow is the idea of monotasking, and really kind of thinking about, okay, what is it that I need to do today? First, you brain dump, you list it all out, and then you begin one task off of your list. My suggestion would kind of start maybe with your priority. Sometimes I need like a quick dopamine rush. So I'm like, okay, what's something quick that I can just cross off and get that off of the list really quickly? So those are my timers, and that is the monotasking strategy.
And Steph, that's really cool. Do you find that you are more mindful of trying to do that with all the work that, like, I know a lot of districts do now with like SEL and and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah, I mean, I
like
definitely
social emotional, yeah, learning stuff.
definitely feel better when I do monotask because my mind isn't racing. And I am able to usually accomplish my task a lot faster. And it's again that checking off that really gives me like that dopamine rush of like, oh my gosh, I did that. And so I actually use monotasking with students. I'll have them, here's everything we need to do today. And let's go ahead and cross it off, set that timer. But yeah, again, usually for me, I have to start off with those quick things that I can go, okay, done. Like today, I have to write a blog. I hate writing blogs, so it's probably gonna
Hmm.
be the last thing that I do, right?
Hmm.
But I'm like, okay, I've got to do that. But again, I'm like, oh, I'm dreading it. So I really will need to monotask during that time and not multitask.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So we each have one more that we want to share with you because I know our time is quick today. And so the one that I
one
have picked to
that
do
I like to do
is
is
throwing shade. So hopefully you guys like the outfit. I just wanted you guys to know that even though I am projecting in Ohio, I wanted any Guardians fans to know out there that I was rooting for you against my crosstown rivals, the Yankees, yesterday. I've got my own set of problems as a lifelong Met fan, so I just wanted you to know where I'm coming from here in New Jersey. Any Guardians fans? Can I see your hands up there? All right, there's a couple of them. Any Reds fans out there? I might as well take care of everybody. Oh, all right, there we go. Because I know you guys are kind of in that Columbus-y area. So I just want to make sure that, everybody's getting represented. So anyway, so this is me trying to throw shade in a way that I can in an elementary school, because otherwise, I'm not modeling well for the kids. So, but I use a lot of spreadsheets, right? And so a lot of times I have to let the data tell a story. And if you look at a bunch of numbers or a bunch of text or that type of thing, sometimes it's people just don't understand what you're looking for. And so in Google Sheets, you can do things called conditional formatting, where basically it changes it a color or it changes the format of the font or the text or whatever based on a condition that's going on, hence how it gets its name. And so in this one, I've provided some tabs just so you can see the different types of like color scales, like some are more green than others, or there's other color scales which like go from like orange to green, that type of thing. But what I wanted to just mention to you today, I don't want you to feel like, oh God, this is a Google sheet, so therefore I have to know a bunch about formulas. Okay. What I want you to consider is just think about if you could organize all the data that you have or all of the things, even like a schedule for yourself in a Google sheet, what would you like to have happen, right? Would you like social studies to light up in green? Would you like math to light up in blue if you're building a calendar for yourself, right? Would you like, if you're punching in test scores manually into a Google sheet, right? Or that type of thing, or you're setting up for parent teacher conferences, or even if you are the person in charge of the Friday lunches, right, for ordering for the teachers, or you're doing the Secret Santa, or those, that's usually when I get more traffic for these type of things, believe it or not. And so what conditional formatting does is it allows you to basically look for something and then color it. So as an example, right, if you were to like if you were just to open up like a random Google sheet, right? And Steph is so good about opening up random Google Sheets as well as docs, right? So like if like in a couple of cells, right, she typed in her name, like, and copied and pasted it like 4 times randomly, and then my name and copied and pasted it randomly. And you can see we're in an organization one because, Steph is staying right in column A, even though I know she's going to move them around. Um, but you're all good, Steph. That's all that we all needed for the example. So, what you can do is you can actually apply this to the whole grid. So what we're about to do. So, what Stephanie just did there, I just want to make sure everybody caught it was there's a little square there that looks like it does absolutely nothing, like your appendix. Okay, but actually what it does is if you click on that square, if you're not familiar with Google Sheets, it highlights all your columns and all your rows. And something like that could blow your mind for the day. So you have everything highlighted here. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to apply conditional formatting to this. So if you go up to format, right? And you look down for conditional formatting, because this is one of the things that's actually in a spot that makes sense, right? Conditional formatting and format. It is applying to all the different range, right? So it's going from A to Z and 1 to 1,000. And we are going to, I'm not going to worry about any numbers here, right? I'm just looking for names. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and I am going to look for something that says text is, or text is exactly. Okay. So it's just a little bit down from there. Yep. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to type in Stephanie and we are going to click. I see she picked the purple. She can also change the font color if she wants to, however she wants to do it. But you can also make it go bold and all that. But then what she can do is before she jumps off that, she can actually hit add another rule, like just below that. And now she's got the same area. And now when she types my name in, right? Let's say she types in orange since I tried to dress like a pumpkin earlier in the presentation, right? And then she clicks done. Okay. You can see here that I'm lighting up in orange and Stephanie is lighting up in purple. All right. The reason why those few that she's correcting now did not is because there was a white space after it. So you just want to be cognizant of that. White spaces count as characters. So when it is looking for the conditional formatting, because you're doing text is exactly, it's looking for it exactly, including the white spaces too. But so what this does is that before you were looking at a bunch of names, right? Or, whatever your notes are or whatever your schedule is, right? And it's fine if it's a few things, but when it's like, over the course of time, right, you're building more and more and more things out. This is a nice way of saying, oh, I see, Ted's been there half the time and Stephanie's been there half the time. It's a nice way just to kind of visualize it. And it's a way to ease you into conditional formatting because there's so much more you can do with the data. But this is a nice way to get started. So if you have questions about that or more advanced stuff, I'm happy to talk about those offline as well.
Yeah, I love using this, especially with data. When I am collecting data, I can go, okay, who got this score? And I can add different percentages and I make them green, yellow, red, shocking, right? And then I can quickly look and pull small groups or whatever I need to do with my students. Love that tip.
And it's also good to, yeah, like especially like if this is the time of year in New Jersey where we do student growth objectives, where teachers are responsible for that because it's part of their annual review. And so this is where teachers really start to ask a lot of questions about spreadsheets, and that conditional formatting always comes in handy.
Awesome. Okay. And then mine goes, the last one we're going to share today is these learning roadmaps. Again, there's a video if you need that support. And then in the description is where you can find all of the resources for the templates. And so when it comes to lesson teaching my students how to use roadmaps, what I can do is I can come in here and I will create a roadmap that looks something like this. You'll notice that some of them have more boxes than others. So usually when I'm creating these little roadmaps, I might start kind of small. And what you do is you use backwards design. So for example, maybe you're teaching math. And when it comes to math, I'm teaching multi-digit multiplication. I think of what is my end goal? My end goal is I want my students to come to me for a teacher check, and I want them to show me how they solve a multi-digit multiplication problem. They're going to walk through telling me how they solved it. They're also going to share. Hopefully they solve it correctly and remember the place value 0. That was a misconception that a lot of my students had. And so what I can do is I can think about those misconceptions my students are going to have and create activities for them before they get to that end goal of showing me how to solve that multi-digit. This choose your own adventure can provide scaffolds. It could also provide extensions or even breaks for your students. And then what I do is I make a slide, and in the slide deck, I add all of the resources in that resource. So again, I have my roadmap. We're going to talk about this in a moment. This is my goal setting because some of you are probably like, I have students that won't do box even number 1 independently, right? Like that was my class. And so we've got to set some goals for our students on slide number 1. But yeah, there are different activities here. So once my slide is created, once my roadmap is made, I am going to go into my Google Classroom. Do you guys use Google Classroom, Canvas, Schoology?
Google Classroom.
Awesome. Okay. So I'm going to go into my Google Classroom. And once I'm in here, I'm going to go to the classwork tab and I hit create. And I love to create this as a Camy assignment. And so once I create this as a Camy assignment, I type the title and I use my Google Drive and I find that slide deck. Okay. So again, I like to make it a Camy assignment because I'm going to show you why, as a teacher, I like to do that. So I go into my math roadmap and I'm going to hit open with Camy. But before I do that, I'm going to open up my student page. So my student would go into Google Classroom. I feel like I have to sign in every single day, Google. Just remember my password. And so then once my student is signed in, there's that class. Well, if it's going to make me sign in. Man,
You have too much secure stuff on there, Stephanie.
I do have a lot in here, so that's probably why. Plus, my demo accounts are like super secure. It always makes me log in twice. Okay, here's my math roadmap. I open it up with Camy. And what my student does is they come in and they're going to take a picture because tracking is really important. So here is their roadmap. They go to add media. They can take a picture really quickly. And then they can use this to show me which activity they are on. Okay. This page right here, I tell them, hey, today's goal is number 3. So this student is not on today's goal. This student is behind pace. Their goal is to get to number 3. Student comes in, they watch the video, they capture, they create what they just learned about. They can come in and add voice comments, video comments. I just watched this video and I learned that having the place value of 0 when you go into the next place value is super important. So again, they're recapturing, they're creating what they just learned about. They can come in and they could do these questions on a whiteboard, and then they can use the camera tool and take a picture of what they just did. And then they can keep working on their work. However, as a teacher, I have this thing when I open it in Camy called Class View, where I can see all of my students at the exact same time. Here's student Stephanie. Here's that other student, Olivia. And I can see where they're at and what they're working on. I can also come up here and I can say, oh, student Olivia, this one is not ready for number 3. I can delete it. And when I write a number 2, it's going to update on her screen so she knows what her goal is. Students can't delete anything that you add onto their roadmap. And so if I add and change number 2 here, that student is going to see that. If I need to come in here and give feedback to student Olivia, I can come in here and say, oh, I see what you did there, right? And I can drop in feedback to these students as they're working in real time. So that frees me up to not take work home. I do use bulk planning, so it is again a little bit upfront, but then I'm able to use this roadmap to really support my learners and what they need. And so I can come in here and say, okay, I'm going to pull Roseanne, student Stephanie, and student Olivia, small group right now, because I'm able to monitor their progress. I can see what misconceptions they might be making live in this view. I can also come up here to this green little circle, and I can say, okay, today's goal is no longer 3. Today's goal is actually box number 5. Change it, hit update all, update, and every single student in my classroom gets those updates. So again, it's a way for me to stay organized because I can see everybody, provide that feedback in one space, see what misconceptions my students are having, and save time in that classroom. And so if I wrote on somebody's screen, I have to remove it. So if you update all, you do have to remove it like that, but then they all have that new updated of 5, and I can see where they're working and how they're doing. Okay. Here is the links for today's slides. It's gonna magically appear. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. Here is our social media. So feel free to follow us on social media if you are on there. If you saw something that you're liking, I have questions, reach out to us.
10-minute transition period, and the next session will begin at 9:55 and run until 10:40. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, so either take a screenshot, type this down, and let us know if you need anything. We're here to support you. Thank you, everyone.
Are you still there, Olivia? Are you still there?
Yeah, we're still here.
Yes.
We have one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
have Camy on my computer, and it was a free extension at the time. Is it a free extension? Does every student need Camy then to do all of those things?
It's a freemium.
It's a free, and so for every student that you have to have a subscription for every student.
So it depends. If you have a teacher license, it will cover 150 students. If you have a district license or a school license, it should cover all of your school or district.
Okay, great. That's what I wanted to know.
Okay, and you can
Thank
email
you.
me if you want more information. Happy to help. I know that we also can talk to like tech directors or whoever to also explain how Camy can support you in your classroom. And we offer free unlimited support. So if there's, again, anything, reach out. We can definitely provide any resources you might need.
Okay, is there a coupon code for a free subscription?
Yeah, if you email me, I will get you connected with the salesperson. I just do the awesome training. So I actually don't sell it, but if you email me, I will connect you with that person and we can get you set up with a free trial.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
You guys like
There's
the
an email.
spreadsheets.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
All right.
You're
All right.
welcome.
Thank you guys for your
I
time
will
today.
be back later too. If you guys have any other questions or sessions you want to attend, I am leading a couple other ones and I'll add my email on this last page.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.